Hey everyone, in this video I'll be showing you a build guide for the Gunslinger HIGHROLLER. This is part of the D&D Player's Handbook All-in-One Beyond mod made by Yoonmoonsik. Now the HIGHROLLER is exactly what you imagine. It's Gambler. You have an ability that can either double or half your damage, which is really interesting. There's also 4 classes that come included with this mod with the Artificer, Gunslinger, Illrigger, and the Scion. I've covered a subclass build for each of these. This is my second one here for the Gunslinger. It's a lot of fun. It also has some pistols and muskets included with this mod. You can also purchase them from Damon and others. And with this, now, dexterity is our main stat for this build, but so is constitution, and I would recommend going with a stat spread of 16 constitution, 17 dexterity. We can use different items like the dexterity gloves to max out our dexterity using that. It's a little different with some of the items in this game. I also like to have my wisdom stat high enough so that we can have better wisdom saves. You can take that up to 13 there. Another stat you could spread these out to be is going with 14 strength instead and 16 dexterity and constitution. I just think that we can just dump that and put our more valuable points into our wisdom, and then also taking one to put into our dexterity there. Once we hit level 2, we get the critical shot. The number you need to roll a crit is reduced by 1. It can stack. We also get Bite the Bullet, which uses our risk die that are associated with this class. As a bonus action, you can expend one of these die to gain temporary hit points equal to the number rolled. We also have Blind Fire, which as a bonus action, you can expend one of our risk die to gain blind sight to a range of 30 feet until the end of the current turn for just a bonus action cost. We also get dodge roll, which is awesome, so you can expend one risk die as a bonus action to move 15 feet and reload any ranged weapon you're holding. You actually have to reload weapons, ranged weapons like crossbows and pistols in this now. This also does not provoke opportunity attacks. It's not affected by difficult terrain. We also get a fighting style. We're going to go with shooting, giving us a +2 to ranged weapon attacks. Defense can be fun too, but I think that it's better to go with that. Once we get to level 3 here, we get to choose our subclass. Now I did a build previously for the Deadeye. Now we're going with the HIGHROLLER. This is a really funny one with the Liar's Dice. This is actually quite interesting. So when you make a damage roll with a ranged attack, you can expend 1 risk die as a bonus action. This lets you roll a d20. On an 11 or higher, the damage of your next ranged attack is doubled. On a 10 or lower, it is halved. So this ends up actually being something you want to do every turn. Because let's say you do an average of 10 damage, this will turn that into 20, but even if you fail, it's 5 damage. You're losing 5 versus gaining 10. It's much better than not getting any damage at all. This is something we want to use often. We also get Poker Face, Poker Face, get deception checks, and insight and perception as well with the proficiency. So that's kind of nice. We also get skill proficiency here. We can select between, I guess that's the choice there. Deception is our #1 option because as the face of the party, that's likely the one you're going to encounter the most. Level 4, feats are reworked. Now, there's still some really good options here, and I love how Sharpshooter now functions. Attacking within 5 feet does not impose disadvantage on your attack rolls, but it also increases the range of attacks with ranged weapons by 1.5 times, and gives us a +1 to our dexterity. That takes that up to 18. Very good. More range, always a nice thing. There's a lot of changes to how crossbows work in this game. Level 5 gives us an extra attack, so we're now way stronger than the Artificer level will be in this mod. We also get gut shots when we score a critical hit against a larger or smaller creature with a ranged weapon attack. The projectile lodges itself in the target, and for 1 minute the speed is halved and is disadvantaged on attack rolls. That is really nice. We're actually a really good debuffer at this point. Level 6 subclass feature, Risky Business. Once per turn when you make an attack roll against an enemy, that roll does not have disadvantage, and then you can turn it into disadvantage and then regain a risk die. It's kind of funny, Risky Business. It's the risky reward that you could potentially get, and I think options like that are really fun. Level 7, Evasion. Take half less damage from spells on dexterity saves, so if we succeed, we take no damage. Very good. Now we get another ability score improvement. Crossbow Expert actually functions on the pistols here. This ignores the loading property of crossbows, shoot without advantage in melee, and add your ability modifier to the offhand attack. Not really as good, so we're going to go with an ability score improvement on our dexterity to max that out. It gives us a slight boost to initiative, armor class, and our attack rolls. Improved critical shot at level 9 gives us a further increased crit chance. Amazing. We also get level 10 subclass feature, the Risk Taker. You can use your Maverick and skin of your teeth maneuvers without expending a risk die, and when you do, you roll a d6 instead of the risk die. Pretty cool stuff. That just lets us get some temporary health points back. Not super impactful, but it's something different. Level 11 gives us Overkill. When you deal damage with a ranged weapon, the target takes an additional 1d8 of that weapon type. Great. You can also use Near Mister to turn that into force damage. Level 12 final feat. Now, there's a few really nice ones. I'm going to go with Lucky, however, because this is a HIGHROLLER. Luck. That's kind of our whole thing. It's not going to pack the subclass features, but thematically, it makes sense. You could go with an ability score improvement in your constitution if you wanted to go with the more boring route. Lucky is actually one of the few feats that wasn't changed, just because Lucky with this is without flaw. I'm also using the cheek outfit here. This is from Skirby's Queen's Garment mod. And also for pistols, I'm actually going to use their the hand cannon chest that's also by Skirby here. The pistols that you get from this mod just do a 1d8 of piercing, but theirs are better and I like the appearance a little bit more. Never mind, I should be, they have the same appearance. Funny enough, the musket also appears like one of Skirby's mods too. Now, equipment for this build is really fun. In the early game, Haste Helmet for movement speed works amazing. We could also go with the Mask of Soul Perception to get a nice initiative boost and our attack roll boost, or the Horns of the Berserker adding additional necrotic damage onto our attacks. I meant to say the Scabby Pugilist Circuit, so if we get surrounded, we do additional damage. I think the Mask of Soul Perception works best here, just giving us a greater hit chance is important, because, yeah, if we end up botching one of these, we don't want that to happen. Now, if you're Dirge, the Deathstalker Mantle is best. Invisibility will give us a advantage on our attack roll, which means we're more likely to get a crit. We're crit fishing with this build. We want to get that big number. You could go with Cloak Protection for a better armor class, however, but late game, the best armor is the Ballast Armor. But obviously, earlier on in the game, there are some really great options too. We only got light armor proficiency, but Protecty Sparks while Mage Armor can be an okay choice if you got some other way to hold a concentration on things like darkness, if you're playing a drow. And then you could use the Eversight Ring to be able to see within it. Penumbral Armor, giving us a bonus to stealth checks, can kind of fit on this. We don't have great armor options, so late game, the Helldusk Armor would be a good choice because, again, we don't have great AC. We can't even use the Adamantine Scale Mail, which I normally recommend, so use your best available light armor. Ballast Armor just ends up being good because these all end up doing bludgeoning damage, but the pistols that are included with this mod will do piercing damage, which is going to be pretty solid. I'm actually going to put this one in our main hand instead, just so that we do get the benefits of this. Now, vulnerability does not actually exist. It's a lot weaker. It only will take a 1d4 of extra damage, so there's a heads up on that. But we're going to be crit fishing, and with this, we have the Crater Flesh Gloves. This gives a 1d6 bonus force damage. It's actually a 2d6 because a crit will actually add additional die. You could use the Helldusk Gloves in the late game, or even Dark Justice Air Gauntlets, because this will add damage onto our gunshots. I like this because I'm also packing the Dolor Amaris. Whenever we land a critical hit, we get an additional 7 damage and another 7 damage. Normally that would have been 14 to 28, extra turned to 28 damage with the Ballast Armor, but it's fine. We also got those there. Boots of Stormy Clamor. This will give us reverberation on the enemy. We can apply conditions a little bit easier with our shots, giving the Vex condition here, so that is really nice. You can also go with the Evasive Shoes. As mentioned, Dollar Maris, and I got the pistols from this mod, but again, you could use one of the ones that are included, like Skirby's mods, for example. I also put on the Caustic Band for additional acid damage on our gunshots, which is just nice to add a little 2 points extra damage. And we also got the ring, critical hit ring. It's not a Killer Sweetheart here, wasn't appearing. And the Amulet of Greater Health, which adds a +3 Constitution. Not a massive deal, but that ends up being our final stat score. It's not like perfect by any means, but it's the way the dice fell. This mod really reworks how stats work, so there's only so much we can do. But alternatively, you could also throw in the Gloves of Dexterity if you wanted in the early game. Now, we actually, in combat, applied Reverberation because the Hour of Murder will actually apply that condition onto the enemy. And we can start off, Liar's Dice. We're going to use it because it is fun and gives us that, again, either doubling our damage or halving it. We're going to go all in on this and hope for the best. We need 11 to hit. We roll a 27. We could use a free crit. We could use Risky Business. I'm not going to react with that. And we didn't end up finishing them off, but we always got our second shot that we can do against them. So yeah, be mindful though, since we used up our ammunition, we'll have to reload, and I used up my bonus action, which we could have used for dodge roll. Dodge roll would actually reload our weapon. So I gotta go in and do a little stabby, but that's fine. There's our crit, finally. And I'm invisible, perfect. And they don't know where I'm at. I love when they turn around and randomly, yeah. Oh, we lost, there's a combat. Sometimes funny things like that can happen. That was enough to get a free crit and knock him down. Knocked him prone. Amazing. And we can't use our Liar's Dice right now. I could use the dodge roll to reload, but we ate up our action because so Baldur's Gate 3 is a weird thing. When you enter combat with an action, you end up losing it unless you're an assassin, so I don't get my extra attack there, which kind of sucks, so I'll have to put him down with an offhand attack, which was enough, and actually turned us invisible again, so perfect. My team ended up catching up there, but it's funny, they just ran away back into here, and then back out they come. And they, again, don't know where I'm at. It's kind of funny. It's hilarious that they ended combat last time, which lets me just continually keep attacking them just like that. Now, this game still has our very powerful arrow of many targets in it, so that's my preference. It is a little bit nerfed, but it's still strong. We did 30 damage on this target, which is amazing. Now I got to deal with, always turn off dual wielding. I want to recommend that just right off the bat. Go with an attack. Now, this is actually a good time for us to roll that free crit because that's going to be enough to finish them off. Use it on your big burst damages. And actually, the ball center does seem to apply the vulnerabilities here. I was having some weird issues with it last time. Now that I'm invisible, I could just not attack from invisibility, but we have advantage. We're trying to roll those crits. We got the bullet formula off on them, and we knocked them prone from reverberation, so that's perfect. We can oftentimes reapply that really easily with the Boots of Stormy Clamor. I could have reapplied another turn with the with that there, but we're just gonna shoot him in his face with our liar's dice again, hoping for a big roll, more money. See what happens there. We'll roll the crit, and boom! 32 damage. Unfortunately, I ended up getting the bad roll, looks like, the dice fraud exposed, so didn't end up getting our double damage, but it was more than enough. That would have been crazy. So 32 damage at half. I actually ended up failing both of our liar's dice. If we would have gotten that, it would have been a huge number. It's fun. It's just a random luck. I had bad luck, but we still were able to take enemies out pretty quickly. That is the Sharpshooter Gunslinger from D&D Player's Handbook 2024, All in One Beyond, here again by Yoonmoonsik. Let me know which of the subclasses you'd like to see next from this mod, and hit the subscribe button below if you enjoyed this content. We'll catch y'all in the next one.